Redditors who do not have a romantic how we first met story with your significant other. How did you meet? We had Spanish class together and we were both shy. So when we picked partners for projects/assignments, we were always the last two who didn't have partners. Man, he said, not romantic stuff. Met my GF at a New Year's Eve party. We were both super drunk. I may have blurted out my life story too. I came back with her to her apartment. After sobering up, I decided to get naked and crawl into her bathtub. I passed out, but woke up with a blanket on me and a pillow under my head. She sent me a message asking if I was okay. I asked her out for coffee. The rest is history, I guess. Greater than after sobering up, I decided to get naked and crawl into her bathtub. I have to question your level of sobriety at this point. So you get into the tub with all your clothes on? SMH. She tripped on the gutter. While everyone around her helped her, I just stood there trying to contain my laugh. She still tells this story to other people up to this day. She tripped and you fell. That's romantic. Disqualified. Disqualified. Added my wife on Facebook 11 years ago because I thought she was hot. She popped up in a friend's pictures and I was like, damn, nice, and now I wake up in the same bed as her and I say damn, nice every single day. Damn, nice. She first met me while dating my best friend and I was with another girl at the time. Years later, my best friend convinced me to hang out with her, called her up and invited her to Buffalo Wild Wings where he and I were hanging out. Since we had both already eaten, we walked across the parking lot to a bar. I played darts with friends while drinking and talking to her a bit. Then after the bar closed, we went back to our cars, started making out, decided there wasn't enough room inside, and fucked with her bent over the hood of my car in Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot at 4 a.m. It was a magical night we'll tell our grandchildren about one day. I assume this is a tourism ad for New Jersey. Nah, Northern Indiana. Met my husband on Plenty of Fish. I had an account my friend and I used to troll people when we were bored, used my own picture, and he seemed decent so I told him what was up with my account. He thought it was funny and asked me on a date. Day we scheduled to meet up, my appendix exploded and was in the ICU for 2 weeks. Okay, rescheduled once I got home. His GPS directed him to my house by driving through a river. We lived in Florida at the time, so mud, crackheads and alligators were a concern. Police had to come save him and escorted him to my house. We still laugh about it. Edit, I'm on mobile and new to Reddit, so hopefully this doesn't look like shit. I wasn't expecting this to blow up. Your comments are great. He's from Canada and was new to Florida, so the day we met was a very wild ride for him. He didn't drive into the river, he stopped and got his car stuck in the mud when he realized that the road was ending. I should have been more specific. Edit 2, thank you stranger for my first silver. The GPS directed him through a river? Was he the regional manager of a branch of a mid-sized paper company by chance? The machine knows. Craigslist. I was new in town, didn't know many people. I put an ad up looking for someone to go explore and do weird shit, like put googly eyes on things. She answered, we emailed back and forth a few times. Met. Hung out. It was really relaxed. Then about 3 weeks later we realized it was more than that. Damn, you found a lover on Craigslist, meanwhile I can't even find a good quality sale. Meanwhile I can't buy a Wii game without getting stabbed. My now wife got shit-faced at New Year's Day party and confessed her crush on me. She then persistently tried to coerce a very sober and uncomfortable me to sleep with her, which I declined. Called her the next day and asked her on a proper date. That was almost 7 years ago and we've been happily married 3 years. Me and my husband met in a threesome I had with an ex. I did open relationships at the time. The sexual chemistry between us was very obvious from the jump, and over the years we became best friends that had an on-again off-again sexual friendship whenever we were both single. 8 years later, we both found ourselves single again and finally admitted that we were ridiculously in love with each other. Been together and happily monogamous ever since. I have a question. What made you want an open relationship back then versus wanting a monogamous one now? What changed? Many times open relationships are one-sided. One partner will compromise themselves and their feelings to please the sexual needs of their partner. At least that's been my experience. I met my wife in 1989, in psychiatric hospital. Married for 29 years now. Edit, spelling. Now we need to know, why were you guys in a psychiatric hospital? They were crazy for each other. I was walking through a crowded beer garden to meet my longtime female friend who already had a table saved and insisted I had to meet her friend. I spotted her friend immediately and she spotted me even though we'd never met. I proceeded to sit down and make small talk, but I was enamored. I instigated everything, which I had never done before in my life. I was completely taken by her. Yada yada yada, we made out and spent the next week together, avoiding all outside responsibilities and careers. 3 years and thousands of dollars in legal fees later and I just narrowly avoided jail time because of her lies. She is the meanest person I've ever met. Hitler and Stalin had more gumption than her. A true sociopath. I feel like there's more to this story. Did she lie to convince you to rob the Louvre? Is she mean to puppies? Are you still together? Greater than I feel like there's more to this story. What gave it away? Not me, but one of my friends told me about how their parents knew a couple who found each other around the bin truck. So basically one day a guy went to take back his metal can from the street, but there was a big problem. The garbage worker had accidentally made a tear in the bin bag and ripped it open, spreading shits everywhere on the pavement. So next week the upset man waited for the same workers to show up to get some explanations. Turns out that garbage worker was in fact a woman of the same age, which was really rare in those times, 70s 80s. Charmed by her uniqueness, the dude decided to share numbers. They dated and we all know the rest. Not the nicest way to meet someone if you ask me, haha, but quite a nice story. Edit, subredified, waving hand. I fuck up your trash bin, you fuck up my booty, nervous sweat, this girl probably. What? What kind of username is that you/cockdaddy Karen? He was my mom's upstairs neighbor and my mom forbid me from hanging with him as she was sure he was a bad influence. I was staying with her for a bit. 13 years and 2 kids later, we're all a big happy family. The way you phrased this makes him sound substantially older. TBH. Edit, I was right, apparently. Not me, but an old friend. Back in the 70s, my friend Shirley was at a bar late one night making a phone call in the back room on a payphone, and some drunk asshole came stumbling in and took the phone from her, hung it up, then proceeded to make a call to someone else. She stood back and smacked him in the face. He fell flat on the floor and busted out laughing. That's how they met, a short bar fight I suppose. Lol. I always loved hearing that story when I drank with them. She passed away a few years back and was a very sweet woman. That definitely is not romantic, but wow, what an unlikely marriage. Lol. At work. She was really shy and I thought she wanted to murder me. I still think that, but at least now she has my life insurance. I don't know why, but sadly my wife never appreciates that joke. My wife just dumps more mercury in my cereal when I make the joke. Match.com. She sent me an email and I waited a day to decide if the $20 commitment was worth it. It was, and we've been married a little over a decade. Did you get your $20 back? Nah, but I tell my wife she rates top 8 things I've spent $20 on. Smile. My wife and I met on OkCupid. I used to feel kind of embarrassed about this until I realized that now there are married couples out there who met on Tinder. Who knows, in a few more years Tinder will probably seem old-fashioned, and all the young people will be meeting up on finderset@genitals.com. I met my wife on Craigslist. I'm not embarrassed by finding love to line, but I am still embarrassed that it was Craigslist. Same for us. At this point we're too deep in the we met through mutual friends lie to our family. I'm just thankful they never ask who our mutuals friends are. Tinder. Maybe one day I'll tell my parents, but the friend of a friend story has worked well enough so far. That's exactly what I've told my mom. I don't remember meeting my husband. I was a freshman in high school and it was during band camp. I got a text from him one night and pretended to know who he was because I was too embarrassed that I didn't know everyone's names yet. Edit, we actually took a couple wedding pictures on the field where we met because we're nerds. http://emoji.com/a/nkxipchf. Have you figured out his name yet? If not, take him to Starbucks. Also, if you're about to marry him, pay attention to the priest. Usually they call them out by their name when asking for the vows. I was the DD for the night at the local club. It was getting late and everyone wanted to party more. I was getting hungry. Outside the club this guy always had his hot dog cart set up, so I went outside to get a couple. The club didn't allow outside food or drink, so I just sat on the curb. She came out drunk as a skunk with her friends, took a few steps then puked on me. My hot dogs got ruined too. Her friends really weren't in any condition to drive either, so I called an Uber and asked him to let me know they got home safe. She called the next day incredibly apologetic and asked to make it up to me. She showed up to the restaurant with a new shirt and a pack of Franks, laughed hysterically, got talking, and here we are. I always say she had a very unique method of picking me. Greater than outside the club this guy always had his hot dog cart set up, so I went outside to get a couple. Thought this would end better for the hot dog vendor. Me too. He was drunk. An acquaintance and I went to pick him and another friend up to go out to a club. We've been together almost 15.5 years, married 13. Even his proposal was not very romantic. We were in our backyard getting ready to barbecue and he asked me if I would marry him. First thing out of my mouth was, "Are you sure?" It totally works for us though. At least you didn't set yourself in fire accidentally after you proposed. Took months for the grass and hair to grow back. What? Tinder. I had been dumped a few weeks earlier and wanted to just do me and not worry about anyone else for a bit. Well, that got old fast, so I downloaded the app and started swiping. We matched about a day later and spent a few days texting through the app before she gave me her number, and then about a week later we met up for drinks. I was poor at the time, had just started a new job and missed the first pay period, so we had one drink and then I made an excuse to leave because I couldn't afford any more. We walked out and I gave her a hug saying bye and we should meet up again soon. We will be celebrating our 2-year in December. Just do me, that got old fast relatable. We met online, and didn't plan to exactly be in a relationship. Accidentally ended up married, oops. Same. Looking online for a random hookup, his profile mentioned awkward first date sex. Asked him how I sign up for this kind of date. He told me I just did. That was 10 years ago, married for 5. Side note, he didn't put out until date 4 or 5, so that was a lie, lol. Lol, I misread it at first and thought you said he didn't pull out until date 4 or 5. Badminton class in college. I was beating him badly. He finally realized I was a competitive freak and not some little girl who didn't care if she won or not. My dating litmus has always been like this, especially air hockey. I'm a competitive man, I don't mind losing, but show me what you got. Don't play embarrassed, or half-assed, play to win. Much more fun that way regardless of who the victor is. Nothing hotter than a self-confident, go get a woman. Greater than nothing hotter than a self-confident, go get a woman. Damn right. Serious about her work and fun to hang out with. Met at a homeless shelter. We hit it off, got back on our feet, got a place together, getting married. Edit, it never seemed a romantic situation to me. We met in a homeless shelter isn't exactly something we tell people openly. You found love in a homeless place. Dumpster diving in the night and we're standing side by side as your shadow crosses mine. What it takes to come alive. We both joined a group to play D&D together. He was a halfling rogue, I was a human barbarian. In the first session he climbed on my shoulders to spear some foe in the throat, and then on my next turn I attempted to assist him up onto the roof of the small hut next to us. I rolled a natural one and basically punted him into a wall for some ridiculous amount of damage. Oops. We've been married for 5 years and have 2 kids, well, almost. I'm very pregnant right now. Wait, very pregnant? What's a little pregnant then? Anyway, congratulations. I was donating blood and I hit it off with the lady next to me. She seemed to like my weird sense of humor and I think our blood bags touched. You still have the glove? We met in nursery, been friends for around 28 years and I asked her out last week. She said yes and I squealed like a little girl, embarrassed smiley face. Edit, I think maybe people are getting confused, I meant nursery as in the UK version of kindergarten. You're not twins, are you? Have same first name and last names 1 letter off. Keep getting each other's mail. You've got mail part 2. Electric Boogaloo. My folks met when they ran for cover in the same spot during a drive-by shooting. Honestly, this is the first one that isn't at all romantic. I mean, this one's a little bit romantic too.